Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Everquest Old School. And I know you guys are all jumping for joy because I am on my Cleric yet again, and I am in the main room yet again. I know, pulling your hair out. We have been here probably too long, and I was going to go over to Mistmore, but then I decided against it, mainly for the fact that it is double experience weekend right now. And yeah, so I want to get as much experience as possible, as quickly, so we can get out of this room. Now, I kind of debated on whether I should just get another couple levels, go up to the fireplace room. Hold on a second, somebody's dying here. I go up to the fireplace room and not show you guys a couple levels here and there. But then I remembered back, and I'm like, you know, this is a journey that we're both taking, all of us together are taking, and yeah, sometimes it's going to be pretty slow, and sometimes you are going to see some of the same zones. But I think for somebody who's never experienced the game at all, this would still be kind of exciting. I know it is for me. I still enjoy it. I mean, yeah, there are times where I get on and I'm like, you know, it'd be great to see someplace different. But, you know, I enjoy this room. This is kind of, for me, what part of the game is really all about. Like, if you go to Seb, I remember sitting in zones like that for 10-15 hours on the weekends when I had, you know, no school or anything to do. I would get into a group there, and I would just stay as long as I possibly could stay awake, or as long as the group was doing really well. Sometime around 3 or 4 in the morning, the groups always seemed to go through a phase, and the phase would really come down to be, was there enough people on to make the group work? And depending on who you were with and what day of the week it was, sometimes you would lose that vital role, that cleric or that enchanter that you absolutely have to have for that certain room that you're killing. And if you don't have a healer of any kind, it gets really, really dicey on whether you can keep the room broken. If you, for whatever reason, get behind on the room, oh my god, without a healer, I don't think you'd be able to do it. I mean, even with the Mezzer, you have to have somebody who can heal. Somebody who can heal more than bind wound. Although, now that I'm saying it, I have seen groups where everybody binds wound the tank after the fight's over. And it does kind of work as long as you can take one at a time. And if you have a Mezzer, even if you pull like 3 or 4 creatures, you can take a short break in between creatures, keep them all mezzed, and let the tank heal up a little bit. And then take the creature on. And yeah, it's a lot slower, but it's possible. It's something you can do. Now, because we have double experience weekend, they're going crazy. They're trying to get as many pulls as possible. And the reason behind that is everybody is on tonight. There's literally like 3 times more people on the server tonight than there normally is at any given time. And this is one of the not peak hours. So I don't even want to know what it was like earlier today when just tons and tons of people were on. It would have been interesting. It would have been more like the old days where just everything is camped. As it was, I sat at the entrance over here in Unrest for about 4 hours looking for a group before I finally got into this one. And it wasn't that there wasn't any, you know, any groups available. There was tons of groups there. Nobody was leaving because the experience has been that good. And this group has kind of been running into the issue on the last like hour and a half that they were telling me when I first joined was, because it's so camped right now, unless you're really, really on the spot, you know, Johnny on the spot with the pulls, somebody else pulls it all the time. And if they pull it, they don't just pull one of your mobs. They go through and they pull like every single one at the same time, and they run it up to their group because they're that hard up for experience. There's nothing up in this zone. It was kind of funny before, while I was sitting at the entrance waiting for a group, I decided, you know, I'll put my Invis on versus Undead on, and I'll just go looking around just to see, you know, if I can get on the list to any of the rooms or anything like that. And as I was going through the zone, I got all the way upstairs. There's not one creature up. I even went down into the basement. Not one creature up. They are killing so quickly that nothing has any time to spawn. Now, with that said, there is a ghoul right here in front of me, but that is a charmed pet. I believe by the Necromancer, but I guess it could be in the Enchanter. I don't know which one of those has him as a pet. But he's had that ghoul for so long that he actually gave the ghoul 2 weapons just to play around with it, because anytime the charm breaks, everybody just lets it, you know, gets the attention of it, and they just wait for him to charm it again, and then again and again. So he's had that pet for some time now, which is kind of funny that he's had it for a long period. Usually in this zone, you can't really do that too often because of trains. A train will come by. You'll have to zone it. When you zone it, you'll break your charm and you'll lose your pet. And then you come back in. And when you're breaking the room, usually people don't want to let you get a pet like that. It's working out for us, though. There is a drawback to that, though. And the drawback is you can't kill that creature because he's a pet, which means you can't get experience from him. And it's not as simple as you can't get experience from him. Because he's charmed, if I remember right, his spot does not repop because he's not dead. So his placeholder, or if there was a named guy in his placeholder, will not spawn because this guy never died. And because of that, you're not only denying yourself experience from this guy, but you're denying yourself experience every so many minutes that he would respawn for the next guy. So yeah, you're losing out on a little bit of experience, but you are getting basically a ghoul to help out with the damage, which means you are killing a lot quicker for the most part, which is pretty cool. Plus, the ghoul tends to root people in place, and that's kind of nice for a pet to root the creature in place and not have to worry about it running out of the room and causing a train. Although right now, that's not an issue because the zone's so camped. If there was a train somewhere in the zone, people would be thanking you for it. Oh, the Priest of Najina. How did they get that guy? Wow. Those mobs are paving all over the place, apparently. So we got a ghoul on ghoul fight right here. Who do you think is going to win? Either way, we win. Okay, and ZK's down there. I was just talking to him earlier about some of the Veletian stuff, and he wanted to say hi, YouTube. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with ZK, he actually has his own channel, and I highly suggest you guys go check it out. He's making one later on tonight, a video about hunting over in Seb, and he said last night he was in Plane of Fear, and the next night he's going to be in Plane of Hate. So hopefully he records some of that, because I myself would love to see some more videos of those zones. I actually looked online, and other than the videos that the people who run this server do every week, and they have a different view because they come in as like a GM and they can kind of just sit there and watch the raids go on. Other than them, I don't really see that many videos of raids. And you know, first of all, I understand that when you're in a raid, you're concentrating on what you're doing. But that doesn't mean you can't just hit the record button, concentrate on what you're doing, and not do any voiceover. You can do that later, and that's exactly what I was planning on doing if I ever went to any raids. The only other reason I can possibly see they don't do it is that a lot of guilds, especially high-end ones, are very secretive about how they do things in a raid. And as I've mentioned this before in other videos, that when you learn how to pull a raid zone, that's like 90% of the battle right there. Yeah, there's a few other things. You got to make sure that the mez gets off on time, and you got to make sure that somebody despells the target and slows the target and does all this stuff to it. But a lot of that stuff is kind of common things to do, not that hard to understand. The pulling is very, very tricky. Not only do you have to understand how to do it, but even once you understand it, pulling that move off can be incredibly difficult. But knowing how to do it, again, I think is kind of like G.I. Joe used to say, is half the battle. So I think that might be why they don't advertise it and show pretty much everybody on the server or anybody who's watching how to pull these zones and, you know, the mistakes you can make and things of that sort. For me, I really, really want to do that. So I'm definitely looking forward to the day that I can get into a guild that raids and doesn't mind being recorded. That's going to be the key right there. I don't know how many top-end guilds on the server are going to really enjoy that or be open to that in the first place. So we'll have to see. Hopefully we can find one at least and get into some raids, because I'm definitely looking forward to that. But that's kind of a long way off. I mean, we're not leveling that quickly, and I'm trying not to. I don't want to power right through the game like I did the first time when I did it on my Cleric, because I hadn't gone through the game real slow on my Shadow Knight the very first time, learning the game and checking out new zones. I was one of those people, and maybe you guys are, and if you are, I'm probably driving you crazy with just sitting in one zone, but I was one of those people who every night I logged on, in the back of my mind, I was like, do I want to go explore tonight? Do I want to go see another zone tonight? And the answer was almost always yes. And once I got Fatigue Death with my Shadow Knight, It was a resounding yes. Let's go check out and see what we can find and what trouble we can get into. Now, a lot of the time, it would be just going over one zone from where I was. And a lot of people don't understand. This is the same way with writing, that I tell them that you just start in small increments. When you sit down at a table and you have it in your head that you're going to write an entire novel, that is a huge monumental task that is incredibly hard to even get started on. But if you have it in your head to just write one paragraph a day, that's not very hard. 4 sentences every day. Pretty easy. You can do that before work. You can do it after work. You can do it on your rest break, whatever you have. Not too hard and not too difficult. But you will be surprised about how easy that adds up. Same way in this game. If you explore just one more zone from where you're at every time you log on, before long, you're like 15, 20 zones away from where you started. And you've got to see more of the game than most people probably ever will, doing it that way. So that's kind of what I did. I kind of just, let's see what trouble we can get ourselves into. And a lot of the time, like I was saying, is I would get to these zones and then be like, oh, I can't go any further because they're all red to me. Everything's here is red to me. I can't possibly get through the zone. So I would have to turn back. What are they doing? He. I don't see. Maybe they stole somebody's pools. I don't know. I do know a lot of the time, guys, if you see somebody crouching into a wall, the reason they're doing that is there's kind of a... Oh, he's sneaking upstairs to see what's up there. It's kind of a cheat, because if you sneak and crouch into a wall, you can sometimes see through the wall into like a lower level or even further into the zone. And that's a good way to see if the creatures are up in a certain room, if there is that kind of thing you can do. And again, that's one of those things you will learn as a pooler. Even in raid zones, a lot of the time you'll see people doing that, crouching into walls to see, where the mobs are. And people will watch the pooler that way and see if he gets into trouble, and they'll call it out for him. Because they know that if you're pooling, you got your hands full. You don't always have time to sit there and type stuff out. But again, thankfully, with the advent of voice communications like Skype and Ventrilo and tons and tons of others, actually, that I'm not going to mention every single one. But yeah, there's tons out there that you can use to communicate with people. Most of them are free. There's a few out there. Ventrilo used to charge. I think it's free now. Yeah, I think it's completely free. I think there might be a few charges or donations if you really, really like their service. But Skype is completely free to other Skype callers. So, if you're not familiar with how to communicate with other people on voice, I would actually suggest Ventrilo because it's a little bit less on the processing power. It's not as stable, and it has a few glitches here and there. Skype, on the other hand, is a little bit more stable for me as far as voice goes. Video's another story, but voice is pretty stable. But it does take a little bit more processing power. So if you're recording, or if your computer's not state-of-the-art, and there's no reason to feel bad about that. Everybody has a different computer. Everybody has a different play style. And if you're playing a game like this, you don't really need a state-of-the-art computer in the first place. So that's one of the charms about this game that I really enjoy. Let me see. Hold on a second. Be very, very quiet. Somebody's pet would have been a horrible first pull. Pull it on our guild website front page, sitting in my pimp shirt. I don't think so. I'm just making sure they're not talking to me. I was trying to get the group chat going earlier. In fact, I came into the zone while I was sitting here. As I said many times on my other videos, I don't really get to talk to players that much because I'm always doing the voiceover, the commentary. And when I was sitting there, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get this zone talking. And I did an OOC saying, level 20 cleric looking for a group. And right after I did that, a level 24 cleric said, level 24 cleric looking for a group. And right after he did that, a level 22 said he was looking for a group, cleric no less. And so I just shouted out, I was like, oh, great, right? This zone's full of clerics, just trying to get some conversation going. And yeah, it kind of worked. It finally, after like an hour of trying to instigate some kind of conversation, not a negative one, just any kind of conversation, I finally got the zone talking to each other. And yeah, sometimes that's all it takes is somebody just doesn't give up on starting the conversation. And then once it was started, I kind of just sat back and let it run its own course and go where it wanted to go. And people were talking about the double experience and the different groups that they were in, and how there was no mobs up, and I mean, it really just exploded there for a little while. But I guess because I didn't keep prodding it, and nobody else was really invested in keeping it going, other than, it's good to talk to other players. It did kind of stall out about 30 minutes after the initial start, and then it just went dead quiet again. And it was like dead quiet for about 2 hours. No matter what I did after that, I couldn't get it going again. That was pretty much it. It just exploded and then went boom, gone. So it can be kind of, I won't say lonely, but kind of boring at the entrance when nobody's talking. In the old days, and I hate using that term, but but yeah, you used to be able to just say like a couple of words, and you'd get everybody riled up, and people would just be talking about every little tiny thing, and things that don't even have anything to do with the game. They'd just be talking about. I haven't really seen that too much at these lower levels. I'm hoping at higher levels people talk a little bit more than they are down here at these newbie areas, because yeah, I think that's one of the best things about the game is just chucking it up and making jokes and laughing at stupid mistakes and just having a good time. And unfortunately, my group is talking quite a bit actually. He soloed a ghoul while we beat that one up. His barbarian power best at the art of combat of elves. He had help from my ghoul. Yeah, I think he did. Get quite a bit of help from that ghoul. Haters. Just a little help though. Yeah, I don't think he would be able to do it by himself, to be honest. It's kind of a hard thing to get a sense for. If you're like, for Shadow Knights, who can kind of solo on their own a little bit, for Paladins, who can kind of solo a little bit on their own, even for Necros, who can solo quite well on their own, it can be very difficult to get a sense of how hard that creature is when you're in a group, because you just never know. Like, how hard is that creature hitting? Well, it doesn't look like it's hitting the tank very hard, but if it hits you or your pet, it could be hitting them really hard. And just because it's hitting the tank for like 28 damage, you're like, well, 28 damage isn't that bad. Well, he has, AC on, and depending on how much AC he has, will greatly determine how hard he takes that hit in the first place. So, because he has such a high AC, he's only getting hit for 28. But where your pet is concerned, he may get hit for like 50-something, or you may get hit for like 100-something. So it's very, very hard to judge that based off of looking at other players. The same thing goes as far as how many hit points the creature has. Really, the only time you can tell how easy or how hard a creature is when they're extremely easy or extremely hard. And it doesn't really help you out too much. That basically tells you, don't mess with that guy ever if you're by yourself, or you can kill that guy, he doesn't really give you that much experience and it'll take you like 2 hits. Well, I guess that's okay, but those are far and few in between. What you want is like the meat of the mobs, the ones that aren't very easy to tell, and those are the ones you're going to be finding most of the time. Unfortunately, it is difficult to tell how hard or how easy they would be by yourself. And so a lot of people who come in here with groups come back when they try to solo, and you'll see a lot of trains from them because they were expecting it to be easier and it turned out not to be, and things of that sort. So you kind of watch out for soloers who are coming in here because they may not be familiar with the zone as a soloer. They may be very familiar as a group member, but not being by themselves, and it can cause some serious issues. And again, trains are just something that's going to happen in this zone. It's something that you're going to have to get used to. And for those of you who have been watching my videos, you'll see I've seen plenty already. In fact, there's quite a few I didn't put on camera just because they happen right when I logged in. Like, I would always camp myself out at the entrance with Invis to Undead on. Make sure that's something you definitely have on. If you don't have Invis to Undead as a spell, make sure you camp yourself on the outside of Unrest. The worst thing is to load up with a train sitting right on top of you, because chances are it's going to have already killed you by the time your computer recognizes that you're in the game, and you don't want that to be your first like 10 seconds in the game as a corpse run back to your body. That's a horrible, horrible way to start the day or your group or whatever the case is. You're just getting on and you're going to get a death. That's not a good idea. So, but yeah, a couple times I logged on, and right as I logged on, there was like 3 trains coming by. Literally like one train, and then I'd be I'd be getting ready to like walk down the corridor, and oh, here comes another one. The first one hadn't even started to pay them back, and here comes another guy with like another 10 mobs. So his train days are incredibly common in this zone, and unfortunately, you're gonna die from them eventually. You know, there's only so many times you're gonna get lucky and get out of the way of the train and not get the aggro, or get lucky and have like invis to undead on when they come running by. Eventually, it's going to be bad time. You're going to be in the middle of a bad fight, or you're not going to have invis on. You're going to be casting it at that moment, and they're going to that's when they're going to choose to come by. Sorry, I was just making sure my mic is set up. I had to move around a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely very, very somebody talk. See, this is what I was saying earlier, where the conversation just kind of dies out. And I try to keep it going, but it's very hard to do that and the commentary at the same time. And you see it right now. We have a main tank and we have an off tank. And Cords right there is the off tank. And the little guy running around, the REII, however you say that, is our main tank. But we also have Regal running around looking for anything to pull. Watching an EQ stream. Somebody's watching an EQ stream right now. Which one? Oh my god. I can't believe they're watching EQ stream why they are playing EverQuest. That is somebody who is dedicated to this game. That sounds like me. That sounds like something I would do. In fact, I've been watching a lot of EverQuest videos from other players lately. Like Super Bits and Bob, and just there's actually quite a few people out there that I tend to like. Dylan75 is pretty good. You know, ZK has his own channel, like I mentioned. He's pretty good as well. He's playing on the new Lockjaw server. So he's not even playing on the same server as us, but it's interesting. That might be cool to check out. Oh, I thought I heard something coming by. I thought they were going to pull it, and then it went dead quiet right there. I'm sure you guys love that. Okay, what are they doing? Are they going to get something? Is he pulling? Yes, he is pulling. There we go. So we're finally going to get a creature, finally, after all this time. And I probably should have some of my... And I know you guys are going crazy with my spellbook here. I've been separating them by level. That's almost the worst way you can possibly do it. But I've been doing that for, you know, just letting you know, like tutorial purposes, so that if you missed a spell, you can see it right here. These are all the level 1 spells that you should have. You go to the next one, this is all the next level spells you should have, and so on. And I'm doing that for you guys, but eventually I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to change it, because this is just too, you know, sporadic. It's too spread out. You want all the spells that you use, not just on a daily basis, but pretty much at any time on the first 4 pages. Because you're probably not going to fit it on 2. I mean, there's very few classes out there that I can even think of that would be even coming close to fit it on just 2 pages. Shadow Knight maybe would be able to fit it on 2 pages. But everybody else is probably going to have 4, because you're going to have buffs, you're going to have cures, you're going to have your direct damage spells, your invis spells, your healing spells, your stuns. Definitely, you want all your healing and stun spells on the first page. Those are some of your most important spells that you're going to get as a cleric. And stuns, I haven't really gotten into, because we really haven't gotten too many of them. We have 1 stun spell, and I should keep that up at all times, actually. So let's see, where do I want to put that? I guess I can put down my root, or no, I'll get rid of my bust for now, and I'll put the stun now. When you see a caster or a mob casting a spell, cast your stun spell, because it's very, very quick to cast, and it stops them dead in their tracks from getting that spell off. So let's see, what else do we have? That's the last one, okay. So we have Yelp 2, which is a self-buff that allows you to do a little bit more damage. Not really something a cleric is ever going to use. Holy Might and Calm. I believe Holy Might isn't only for the undead. It's just a damage spell. Let's try it out here and see how much damage we do. Although, actually, before we do, I'm going to have to heal this guy up. Cords is taking a little bit of damage. There we go. Now, keep healing, because he's still getting beat. And I believe he's a bard. I believe that's why he's taking hits like that. They're not really meant to be the tank. They can kind of serve as the tank depending on their armor and their skill level, but that's that's extreme situations. It's almost like you have a group of nothing but casters, and you're deciding that he can tank for us. And well, yeah, he can tank better than casters, but is he a good tank? Well, if that's all you got, then that's all you got. But I wouldn't really recommend using a bard for your tank. It's almost like using a rogue for your tank. In fact, he may be a rogue since he's backstabbing, but I think he's a bard. I could just check it, but I'm being lazy. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's great during a fight, so I have to contend with the scrolling. Wait until the fight's over. I can't use it. I can't see it that quick. Let's go ahead and toss a heal on our main tank. And I believe she's a warrior because she's dual wielding already. And I believe the warriors are one of the few classes that get dual wield this early, and it's actually worth it for them to do it. So let's see. Chords is a 18 bard. And let's see, what is our tank? Let's see, she's there. She is a level 21 ranger. Seriously? Our main tank is a ranger? Holy crap. How did I confuse that with a warrior? Oh my god. I am never going to live that one down. A ranger? Are you kidding me? And she's actually tanking for us? Holy crap. That's something else. Heads up trains. Well, if we get them, we get them. That would be good for the experience, that's for sure. Oh, she got one. She got the lurking mummy. She can't be a ranger. That has to be wrong. I can't believe that. That's just, it's befuddling my mind. My mind just does not want to accept that. If I could type in the dark. Which obviously I can't. There we go. 21 ranger. Nope. Still don't believe it. I think that's wrong. There's no way. She's actually doing a pretty decent job. And she's not dying left and right. And she has quite a few hit points to boot. And now she's out of range for some reason. I don't know where she went, but it's not a good thing. Can I heal her? No. So, go. Okay, so I guess she's running for it. I guess she got aggro from something and didn't feel like the group should suffer for it. And so she went to zone it. Oh, she died. Dang it. Let me go into first person because you never know when those things are going to show up. Even though she died, she could have had aggro. I could have gotten aggro from the heals. And, yep, I got aggro. Dang it. Let me root it. Run. Zone everyone. We might make it if I can keep Bard speed on. Holy crap, look at this, guys. I have so, I'd survive. Oh, he didn't have so, or she didn't have so on. Oh no, I lost it. I lost so. Dang it. Run. Holy crap. There's more people coming. Oh no. Guys, what are you doing? They shouted out train to zone. Don't stay here. No. Oh, I feel so bad that they were going to die. Oh my god. Why are they standing there? Everybody shouted train to zone. If you ever see train to zone, don't stand there and look and see if they're telling the truth. You know, nobody that I know of does that joke. Nobody says train to zone as a joke. If they're doing that, there's a train, and if you, yeah, barely made that. I should have followed with Silas. Yeah, it's hard to say whether he did the right thing or not. I mean, it's not his responsibility to keep everybody alive, but Bard's speed is so quick that if the Bard can kind of stay with everybody, that gives everybody a chance to survive. Where if he goes running off, and I've actually done this in groups where we will be traveling like from a town to all the way to like Seb, and you're traveling with a Bard, and man, they have some wicked run speeds at higher levels. And if you're not if you're a little overweight, you run a little slower than he does. And after a certain amount of time, you're falling behind a little further, a little further, a little further. And then when you come out of the range of his... he's asking if the train's still there. When you fall out of his range, you lose his speed altogether. Ask that cleric if he will res. I wish I could, man. I don't get it till 29. I bet he's talking about somebody else. Drox died. No, he gated. Okay, so that's not bad. Wish I could do it myself, though. Hopefully, whoever he's talking about can do it. Now, we didn't get a reply back on whether the train is still there, but considering he just came back, I'm guessing, yeah, probably a train on the other end. Now, when this many people are trained out of the zone, and this is at least 3 groups, one group trained it, and they trained another group, and they were zoning, and we got the aggro from it, and so this is the 3rd group that got trained out. When that happens, you got to remember that you're not just dealing with, you know, the train that initially got pulled. You're also dealing with people trying to get back to their rooms, trying to get back to their bodies before the rooms spawn, and yeah, you're gonna have constant trains after something like this. After a big train wipes out quite a few people, or at least makes several groups leave their area. Yeah, you're gonna have to worry about almost like aftershocks from the original earthquake. So let me put on my Invis to Undead just in case. Just to give myself a little... Oh, he's already pulling. A dark bone skeleton. That's funny. And since the group has stayed together, one of the key things when coming back after a raid or a train, we can kill it. It's kind of nice. But if everybody was kind of trickling in one at a time, it may make things very difficult, because even if you just get 1 or 2 guys, like I said before, it's very hard to figure out who can solo and who can't, and how to do that. And if you're not able to solo that creature, you know, you're automatically running back to the zone line, and other people see you running, so they just run. They don't even bother fighting it. And even if they wanted to, you may already be too low on health to recover from that fight. So you just zone it, they zone it, and it just looks like this domino effect. So yeah, make sure you stay with your group. Try to walk with them. Try to move with them as much as possible. Let's see, what is this? We'll go ahead and pick up the bone chips. You know, I like to pick up the bone chips. 1, I can always use them on my Necro. 2, you can always sell them. And 3, it's always good for every class, no matter what you are, to hold on to a few bone chips. You know, a stack of 20 or something like that, just in case the Necromancer you're with or the Shadow Knight you're with. Usually not Shadow Knight, because Shadow Knights almost never use their pets. They're more trouble than they're worth. They usually get you into quite a bit. Come in, gents. Okay, just open the saloon door for me then. Gents, who uses that? I've heard people say mate a lot, you know, from Australia, you know. How you doing, mate? But, yeah, I try not to use my accent too much in the game. It gives away your location quite easily, and then you have to hear about it for the next few hours where everybody's making fun of the fact that you're from Texas, and you say y'all a lot. Who was that cleric? I don't know, but it's definitely not me that they're referring to. They're trying to figure out who can res them. And I don't know, he ignored me. Oh, that's nice. Well, he might be busy. He might be getting a lot of tells after that one. So I think what we're going to go ahead and do, guys, is go ahead and end the episode here. It's probably going to take our group a little while to get back into the swing of things, and I'll start up on the next episode there. Again, I'll show you how much experience we made in just this short amount of time. Probably about a bubble of experience since we started. And we've gotten, what, like 15 kills in that amount of time? Clerics love money, right, Dim? You're right. I don't know about that. If I can see in the dark. But again, guys, If you do enjoy these videos, please take a moment, hit the like button, subscribe. Definitely helps grow my channel. I do hope to hear back from you guys on what you enjoy and what you want to see in the future. Again, though, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.